What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching. We're here today with Platinum Sync Titan Award winner Joy Basu from Lab Hits. We're going to talk to him about his journey to getting over 500 placements. We're also going to chat about direct licensing and music libraries. It's a great conversation. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, Joy, this is always a pleasure, always a lot of fun to get to talk to you. In fact, you were one of the very first people that I met when I first got out to Los Angeles. And I would love for you to start with just kind of giving people a little bit of a background story of how you went from playing guitar for Jessica Simpson to now owning and running a very successful music library.
Yeah, so I was a touring musician. First big gig in LA was J-Lo, and then it led to Jessica Simpson for 4.5 years. And during that whole time, I still recorded my own tracks, and there was really no outlet for those tracks. I did have a record deal in Japan. There was a couple of compilations I was on here in the US, but basically I just loved recording. So I would send them off to random libraries. I think my first library deal was like back in the 1900s. I think it was like right around 1996 or 97. That kind of was by chance because I was talking to someone at a club and someone just came up to me, because he overheard me talking about a record deal I had in Japan. And that person happened to end up owning one of the most successful libraries that got sold to Universal.
Was it Mark Ferrari?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I didn't know
there you
if
go.
That name came right to my mind too.
Yeah, so
I kind of had a guess on who it was.
All us Headbangers Ball fans would be at the same events. I would see Mark at the gym. I would see Mark at these events, and he just said, "Hey, man, I got this thing going with Music Library." It took some convincing because it was a very similar deal as what we offer, which is exclusive in perpetuity. And I was very reluctant at that time. I didn't do it with the album that I had released. I just wrote new stuff for him, like just took a chance with it. And then within a year or so, placements started happening. If anyone's listening that's a touring musician, you have downtime. I was always recording. Every time I'd record something just for fun, I'd just give it to some library. At one point, my wife was like, "This song you did like 10 years ago is still bringing in money. Let's just do this. Let's do this. Like, why don't you go this route instead of constantly just, paycheck by paycheck, doing the live performance thing?" At that point, I thought, well, okay. And we just had a kid, and it was like, well, what can we do for her to stay home and work? She can do admin stuff. She already does work for a production company. She already had the skills as far as office stuff goes, which I'm horrible at. But I know music production. I know how to deal with musicians. I know how to deal with diva artists. And so it worked out, and we got, I think, our first deal like within 2 or 3 months after we started our library. It happened really, really quickly. We had a great run for years till the pandemic hit. We did kind of have a rough time during that. However, the way back-end royalties work, we were completely set. Our lifestyle did not change whatsoever. The income didn't change because the royalties kept coming in.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there. I saw a lot of musicians, of course, during that time. I was living in Nashville at the time. So a lot of my friends were touring musicians who had great gigs. I mean, huge, huge, huge gigs. The gigs that anyone would dream of having. They were immediately out of work. They're not paid a salary. They oftentimes paid by the gig. A lot of them were struggling. And so these are the people that you see on all the TV shows and all the awards ceremonies, playing with the major artists, struggling. It was very interesting because during that time, it was during 2020, that I had a lot of those friends of mine were reaching out to me during that time. "Man, I just got to learn how to do what you do. You just got to show me this licensing thing. I got to get into the licensing thing." The reality is through 2020, most of us who had been in licensing, we weren't affected by it. We were getting paid in 2020 for our placements in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. All the shows that were now in syndication overseas with those international royalties coming in, it really didn't hurt us at all. When I think of 2020, the only thing that changed for me was I just didn't go out and have dinner with my friends as like I normally did, But the normal day to day for most of us at this point, it's, we all have studios in our homes, and, we like kind of, being in our own little world, so that really didn't change because a lot of it was just get back into your studio and just keep building that catalog, catalog. Things will open up again. When things open up again, you're going to have all this new intellectual property to put out into the world.
Yeah, it was great. We used most of that time to gain more sub-publishers. Now I think we have either 60 or 65, somewhere in between. Their sub-publishers, not that many sub-publishers, but that many territories covered. I mean, it was like, okay, this stopped, so now I can concentrate on this. We also built most of our vocal catalog during that time. So as long as you use the time wisely, you're set.
Yeah, you hit on something early in our conversation there. You had an opportunity and someone wanted exclusive rights, and you weren't comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So instead of just closing the door on the opportunity, you said, I'm not comfortable with that for my stuff, but I can create new stuff for this deal. And I think that a lot of times producers and composers will just say, oh, I'm not comfortable with that. And they just close the door. And that's a great way to keep that opportunity open and just create new material. It's like that little tweak, that little change of thought is, I still see an opportunity here I'd like to participate in. Maybe not for this part of my catalog, but I can create new material for this. And I think it's brilliant. And it's something that successful business owners like yourself recognize. Artists need to embrace that more and be more open with that and recognize opportunity is there, and don't shut the door on it. Just find another angle, like looking through a prism.
Yeah, great point, Jody. So there's a couple of things I've noticed. If anyone watching this is like brand new to the game, exclusive does not mean your whole catalog whatsoever. It is a track by track type of deal, which most libraries, there's a couple I think that, they kind of hire you on as full-time. Exclusive is only referring to track by track. Performance rights is not about you just performing out live. It's the broadcast of it. So if you see somebody's collecting your performance money, it's mostly referring to the broadcast. Although in Europe, if you perform, I think the PROs do still pay you.
So let's talk about some of your most recent placements. I know you've had
Sure.
you've been in business for roughly a decade.
Yeah.
So what are some of your most recent placements that you guys are most proud of?
This isn't by any means like the most extravagant one. UFC is always cool to me because I've been a UFC fan. So we just had 2 vocal placements on UFC, which I absolutely love because I love the songs that got on there. I love the artists that are on it. I just love watching UFC. So a couple of odd ones that we've had. And I'm always looking for stuff that's not the typical. I'm happy with the typical. Don't get me wrong. We've had a lot of inside college football last couple of weeks. Really different one, which last time we spoke, I was trying to find out, hey, what's the price on this? What do I even quote? Music on hold for Pizza Hut. We are on music on hold on Pizza Hut, though
That's
it's
awesome.
not like please hold and just random songs playing. It's actually couple of their like advertisements, buy today's lunchbox for blah, 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 with our track playing with it. So it's kind of like a sync. Another really cool one was AT&T, which was a sync on an ad, but on their TV wall. So over 5,400 stores, AT&T stores in the US, you'll basically hear our music on the TV wall promoting one of their new phones or something.
Was that a direct license too?
Yes. So we're not going to see back end on those.
We can dive into that. You guys want to talk about direct licenses a bit? Joy, why don't you explain what a direct license is?
Yeah, so a direct license would be where you're just basically the PRO is not involved. So it could be anything like the 2 licenses I just spoke about, where you just get an upfront fee and that's it. If they renew it, they'll pay you again. But it's not airing on TV or anything where the network's going to be paying you through ASCAP, BMI, CSEC, or whoever you may be with, and that's it. So it's pretty much like a sync fee. You're just not going to see back end on it.
Yeah, and it's unique to U.S. writers. Non-U.S. PRO writers, it's illegal to license your performance rights directly. It's actually illegal to do that in Italy. But U.S. writers, the United States is, I think, the only territory where our relationship with our PROs is non-exclusive. I have a relationship with CSEC. They're my writer PRO. It's non-exclusive. I have a relationship as a publisher with all 3 publishers. You guys are with BMI, right? You're with BMI, Joy, or ASCAP?
As a writer, I'm with BMI now. I used to be with ASCAP, but we have the 3 as well for the company.
Right. So because of the nature of that agreement with them is non-exclusive, it means that we can directly license our public performance rights to clients if we want. Because our relationship with ASCAP and BMI is non-exclusive, meaning they can collect on those royalties for us, but we can also say, we're going to do this license directly, and we can notify our PRO, do not collect from, in your instance, AT&T,
Right.
Because it's a direct license, and you have to notify, you probably had to notify BMI?
I don't handle that part of it, but yeah.
Oh, well, oh yeah. So I think it's fascinating because people don't really think about that. It technically is both of those uses, especially the phone one is really interesting because it's publicly airing. It's you're listening to it publicly. If I call Pizza Hut right now and I hear your song in the commercial, it's a public performance of your song. And in other territories, there would be royalties for that, but not in the US. Because you're a US writer, you did a direct license, you're allowed to do that, and your writers for US, you're allowed to do that. And you're able to do the deal.
Wow, I did not realize that about Europe. So always a student.
What would you say, percentage-wise, when it comes to your placements, what would you say the percentages of instrumental placements versus vocal placements?
Instrumentals, like probably 90-95%.
Very, very, very large percentage.
Yeah, yeah. Because all the reality shows and stuff. I mean, if you think about a reality show and they're using 100 cues, you know, per show, I mean, that's a lot, you know. And if you got like 10 or 12 on there, I mean, someone might, but usually you don't get 10 or 12 vocal placements on one episode of a
Right.
show.
Yeah.
You know, they don't even have 10 or 12 a lot of times on.
What would you say, as far as your catalog goes, what would you say is the percentage split between vocal and instrumental tracks that you have inside your catalog?
I see what you're saying. I believe we're right around 6,000 unique titles. At the most, we have 1,000 vocal tracks. I think it's way less, actually. Probably about 600 vocal tracks and about overall 6,000-ish instrumentals.
About 90-10.
Yeah.
90% is instrumental.
Yeah. And the placements reflect it too. It's totally different way of shopping too when you're shopping instrumentals versus vocal songs. There's so much more research that has to go into shopping vocal songs and strategy and everything. At least for me, it seems like it.
Did you is Lab Hits partnered with another library to distribute Lab Hits, or you distribute?
So 2 of our labels I distribute myself. I'm the one that's always pitching. One does go through another library, and that's 411. You know, and that's a very small catalog, the one that we're with Kristen over there. I think there's only like 30 albums with them, where we have around 350 albums in the Lab Hits one.
Well, let's switch gears and let's talk about community. How has community, I mean, I remember meeting you, I think it might have been 2015, 2014, at the Production Music Conference to talk about community. Great community there. How has a community played a part for you in your career?
It's played a huge part. I mean, as a live performer, that part was completely, you know, word of mouth, auditions and stuff. And then I don't post as much on social media as I probably should, but I am out a pretty good amount to any sync events going on, even just random, you know, stuff like Honeypot and anything going on that has to do with sync. I'm usually out there meeting people. It's made a huge difference in career, I think. If you don't have that access, if you're not in LA, you can still do that via social media. It's so much easier. I mean, one of the most successful media composers I know lives in Idaho, and he's 6 figures every year from just back end, basically. I'm sure he gets some that are sync, but mostly back end. It does play a big role. Being here to me does help a little bit. It's not a necessity at the same time, whereas if you don't live in LA, you're screwed, you know.
I know a lot of musicians who have all left LA,
yeah,
you know, and they're crushing it. And they didn't leave LA crushing it with placements, by the way. They left LA because they got married, had families. You know, we're all obviously a little older from our 20s of, you know, when we were living in it and being a part of it. A lot of the people that I know left, and then they got into licensing. In fact, actually, one of the artists that you represent, Brian, who's a mutual friend of ours, he never lived in Los Angeles. He always lived in, was he in South Carolina now? He's in one of the Carolinas somewhere.
Okay.
But I do think it's very important that you either get on a plane and go out to some events, some conferences. You definitely do have to get some face time in there somewhere. I think if you really want to build your business seriously, or you find people like you who are, you know, reps, and you develop those relationships.
Yeah, if you're doing it on your own, there's got to be a lot of footwork. Otherwise, you know, through a library or sync agent, you know, or both. If you're looking for specific events, I mean, GMS is great, you know, and PMC. So those of you doing instrumentals, I mean, PMC is just, every year I go, I mean, it's like you make your money back.
Where are you based again, Joy?
I'm in a city called Eastvale, which is about 60 miles east of downtown LA. So all this footwork I'm talking about, it's not easy. So it's not like, being 21 years old, going to a club and just like, yeah, this is cool. Now I'm going to get some syncs. It's not like that. I go, I mingle, I have a great time because I like the people in that community. I love talking sync. I love talking to composers, producers, supervisors, all that stuff. I may make it home anywhere between 12 and 2 a.m. And I still get up at 6 a.m. to take my daughter to school and all that. So
it's planned networking. You plan the trip, you go up, I know I'm going to network. You go in, maybe you stay the night if you need to, you come back, and that's planned networking. Like everybody who's in this business, they still have families, they still got responsibilities. And I think that's something maybe to hit on with artists and outreach to professionals like yourself, like me, like Michael, like music supervisors, other collaborators that you're co-writing with. We all love to make music, but life still happens around that. It's very easy for artists to reach out and think, why isn't this your priority? Why have you not made me your priority? And that I see that a lot. And I think that I used to do that, actually. I used to do that, which is why I'm aware of it. So that can kill a relationship very quickly and close the door before it's even open. Let's talk about that award sitting next to you. What's that about? Right. What is that thing?
All right. So this is the Sync Titan Award for 500 placements. And I thank you guys for that. That's awesome, man. It looks so cool. The hardest thing about this one was the reflection. We're like, where in the house do we not have reflection?
No, it's not possible. So I took the glass off of mine completely. Oh. It's just glassless.
So this is a Sync Titan Award, which represents 500 placements, and it's just a recognition of all the syncs that we get. And it's really awesome because otherwise it's just basically you're getting a paycheck, and now we actually have an award, which is really cool.
That is one of the things that I think is really rewarding when it comes to just the music pursuit, because it becomes our life after a while. We just expect to get placements. You expect to get placements with your catalog. It's not a big deal, right? Because it's what we do. So it's easy to kind of get caught up in that, cycle of, man, this is my life. Go into my studio, I write music, we put it out, it ends up on a TV show or a commercial. I go back into my studio, write some music. Like that's just what the life is. Now, when you actually have something that rewards you or acknowledges all the effort, to me, I think that that's so powerful to kind of center you and ground you. That's when you actually sit back and go, wow, this has been a 25-year journey. Like this didn't happen overnight. This has been the marathon of being a career musician, so to speak, of dedicating my life to writing music and putting it out there. And probably most importantly, recognizing that music still has value.
Very well put.
When you look at your entire career, the entire span of your career, from guitar player to now family man running a very successful music library where you're also contributing to it and whatnot. When you look at all the skill sets you've developed through your career, what would you say would be the biggest game changer that's allowed you to actually consistently land placements of your songs?
Boy, that's a tough one. Constantly pitching, and not just random pitching either. It's in a timely fashion. I have a pipeline of expected air date and what last season was, do the research, do the playlists, get a reminder for the follow-up. It's just full-on planning. It's just basic planning as far as landing placements go.
That's awesome. So it's basically just being prepared and doing the research and having your own actual system in place.
Yep. I use a CRM program and went from digital performer to Insightly. That's helped tremendously to having it that organized. It's a very organized way of doing it.
Awesome, man. Well, man, we appreciate your time and hanging out with us and sharing your own journey and your information with us. Once again, congratulations on all the placements you guys are having. And we're so excited that you're one of our Sync Titans.
Thank you so much. I'm a fan of both of yours. So I really appreciate this.
Joy, thanks so much for spending your time with us today.
Thanks for having me, man. It's fun.
If you would like to join a thriving community of elite sync professionals Dedicated to ensuring each other's success in sync licensing? Then Elite Music Coaching invites you to join Sync Titan.
That's right. And inside this community, you're going to have opportunities to connect directly with sync professionals like music supervisors, sync agents, and music library reps in our monthly virtual meetup and networking events. You're going to be able to get coaching directly from Jody and myself. We have listening sessions, and we also have meetups where you can connect with other collaborators all throughout the world.
Also, we post opportunities for you to submit your music to films, TV shows, trailers, commercials, video games, podcasts, web series, and more. As a Sync Titan member, you're also eligible to receive a Sync Titan award.
So make sure to click the link below or above or to the side or wherever it is on this channel so that you can learn more about Sync Titan and how you can become a valued member of this community.